Okay, we're live. This is breaking. We haven't got time to do checks. We're just going to get straight into it. Right, this broke not that long ago, and we are going to play an excerpt from this. It's pretty crazy because when you consider the guy who's going to talk in a sec, he literally predicted what happened on 9/11 way before it happened, and usually when this guy speaks, people listen. So this is pretty insane, and we've got a few things to link together. All I need from you guys is your feedback about this. So let's roll VT.
It's Thursday, September 12th, 2024. I'm in Dallas, Texas to go on the Glenn Beck show today. We're outside of studios. And I've got major breaking news. The mouthpiece of the Obama, Biden, Harris, deep state blob, Politico, put out a detailed report this morning that we reported on really a year ago, but they're confirming it all, that NATO's basically been running the war the whole time, that they are involved in the invasion, now going back 5 weeks ago, of Ukraine deep into Russia, and that they are going to be supplying U.S. missile parts and missiles, and so is the UK, to start striking deep into Russia. There's already been a lot of drone attacks on Moscow almost every few days and other areas. This is an insane level of escalation. Again, 11 years ago, the West overthrew the Ukrainian government, put in a pro-Western government, started conflicts with the Russian areas in the east, where it's like 99% Russian, inside eastern Ukraine, to bring this conflict to where it is. George Soros has been on Free Zakaria 8 years ago, bragging how the State Department started this war. So the West started this war like all the other wars the last 60, 70 years, almost all of them started by the United States, the globalist. And in some of the cases, you can say we're fighting bad people. I mean, I don't like communists, but in this case, America has become satanic beyond communism. And Russia is trying to protect itself. And this is so dangerous in the RAND Corporation's threat escalation ladder that leads to the nuclear war. We're getting very close in the war games the Pentagon and RAND Corporation have had that are public towards nuclear war. Mainline analysts admit that. The International Association of Atomic Scientists that have been around since the 50s, their doomsday clock is moved the closest to World War III or thermonuclear war we've ever had. This is insane. And we don't even know who's running the White House. Biden's constantly on vacation. He just came off 3 weeks of vacation. Kamala's done one interview on CNN and the debate. She's totally scripted. And we don't even know exactly who's in control. We know it's the bureaucracy. We know it's the deep state.
So yes, things are moving. What we're going to do is we are going to just show what the guy was talking about. This broke as well. I've highlighted at the Kremlin. Now, the White House have already decided to let Ukraine hit Russian targets with long-range missiles. Okay, so the Patriot missile system, so it's part of the US, obviously, and obviously we've been having some input from the UK as well. Like I said, this is today. This is only broke just recently today, and it's quite frightening because this is a blatant escalation of what's been happening in Ukraine for some considerable time now. Okay, if you look at Ukraine now, it's basically the whole place is in ruins, and it's just literally paving the way to invade Russia, which we don't even want to think about the outcome of that, really, to be fair. So we read this. The White House is close to an agreement to provide Ukraine with the AGM-158 joint air-to-surface standoff missile that could significantly alter the ongoing conflict with Russia. According to Reuters, it has a range of about 230 miles or more than 570 miles if Kiev receives the extended ranged version. So we're talking significant inroads into Russia. The same. The JSON can be launched from the F-16 Fighting Falcon, which the US and other NATO allies are in the process of providing to Ukraine. Ukraine is being given an absolute obscene amount of money from, it's basically NATO led. If you want to read the article on this, you're welcome to do so. Just go over to the Washington Times, and it is up right now on their website. Now, that being said, if you guys want a bit of a catch up to what's going on, I urge you guys to listen to this. This is very important, okay? This pretty much outlines what's been going on out there.
Well, for the globalists that are running the show, this is the globalist neocon elite, and both on the Hill as well as in the White House, and these elites in Europe, particularly in Paris, Berlin, London, they're all interested in seeing BlackRock take over Ukraine, number one, so that it can be systematically stripped of its resources and turned into a subjugated state that belongs to the larger globalist elites. But they also want to see that happen to Russia, which is why this war was never about Ukraine. It was always about what can be done to destroy Russia. And of course, since the people in charge didn't perform any strategic analysis, they never thought about purpose, method, or end state, they concluded that Russia today is still the Russia of 1992. It's weak, it's prostrate, its economy is ineffective. Remember the McCain statement? Oh, Russia is Spain with a gas station. All of these arrogant displays of American hubris, treating Russia as though it was a third-class nation with a fourth-class military. Well, we're getting an education right now. We paid no attention to the Russians who had legitimate concerns about what we were doing in eastern Ukraine. We were building an army to attack them. We put a hostile government into that country in 2014. And we kept telling them that it made no difference to us what they thought or what they cared about. They said, we don't want NATO on our border. No one paid attention. President Trump tried to listen, but he was surrounded by people who subverted him, people who were not loyal to the president, who took an oath of obedience to the orders of the president and then ignored them. So what's the outcome? You've got a very serious war that could become regional, even global. And no one in the White House seems to really grasp that. But we're losing. The globalists are losing. And when the ground dries, and in June, you're going to see a massive Russian offensive, and most of what we call this thing called Ukraine is going to be swept away, especially that government in Kiev. But that government doesn't represent the interests of the Ukrainian people. They represent the interests of this globalist elite who are interested in resources and stripping them and using them and exploiting them to make money.
Yeah, it feels like, the biggest threat to America is actually what's happened to the petrodollar. When you have Putin now talking with the Saudis and Putin now talking with Xi, and you get rid of the petrodollar, and all of a sudden all that borrowing that we do, where we're living way above our means, that's no longer possible, plausible, or worse.
I think what you're seeing is this war has become financial as well as military. And the globalists understand that they're going to lose this war. And what will come of this is that the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, are going to be increased by 81 additional members. And all of these people are going to go to a currency that is backed by gold. And once they go to that currency backed by gold, whether it is one currency or a basket of currencies, it doesn't make any difference. Yes, we are in a lot of trouble. The globalists know that, and it is why they are so desperate right now. And the greatest fear that I have is that when the Russians do attack and it becomes abundantly clear that Ukraine is finished, I mean, it's already obvious to anybody who visits the place for any length of time, it's in ruins. But once that occurs, I fear that there will be pressure to commit U.S. forces in Poland and Romania, along with Polish forces and potentially Romanian ones, to Western Ukraine. And if that occurs, the gloves will come off, because truthfully, thus far, Putin has exercised tremendous restraint, tremendous patience. He does not want a war with the West. If he wanted that, we'd already have it. But if we intervene in Western Ukraine, it's over. We'll be in a full-fledged war.
Expand on that a little bit, because it's sort of interesting.
I think we grossly miscalculated. Putin had made several speeches over the last 20 years, repeatedly saying, please do not advance the border to Russia. Do not try to transform Ukraine into a hostile actor, an actor with hostile intentions towards Russia. What happens in Ukraine is of existential strategic interest to us, just as theoretically what happens in Mexico is of existential strategic interest to us, although this administration has decided to ignore it. He expected that we would negotiate, that he would demonstrate that this was serious and that Russia wanted its population in eastern Ukraine, which is really Russian, to have equal rights before the law. He wanted to end the oppression of the Russians that lived there. And he wasn't going to surrender Crimea. The reason he went into Crimea is he was afraid it was going to be turned into a U.S. naval base. Biden said, our goal is regime change. Our goal is to get rid of Putin. And our goal is ultimately to divide Russia into constituent parts, then exploit it. All of his supporters, his staffers, everyone in the globalist camp knows this is the truth. The so-called oligarchs, Kolomoisky, Soros, and others are all part of this. None of this is news. Finally, he said, enough's enough. He stopped. They set up a strategic defense. They ran an economy of force mission. And now they have a force in place that can go as far as it needs to go, which includes to the Polish border. They have a plan for a 31-month war against us if we insist on fighting it. And we are in no shape to fight a war. We can't even recruit the United States Army or the Marines. The Marines are running around trying to recruit illegals and are being encouraged to do so by the administration. Is that what you want in the ground force to fight for this country? Forget it. It's not going to work.
Exactly. Certainly, absolutely makes you think. But that's not all. Other developments have been occurring as well. If I can see it. Yes. Reports indicated SEAL Team 6 is currently training for a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. That's another thing. There is also some pics backing up this as well, that there are indeed training operations with US Special Forces in the South China Sea around the Taiwan area. These saber-rattling things absolutely are going on. They are going on right now. Now, when you think of Zelensky as a tiny hat, there we are. What do we see here? More evidence of ties with the World Economic Forum. This whole thing could absolutely spill out into total chaos. Now, I would be very interested to hear your thoughts about these recent developments regards US and UK getting involved, basically, potentially going into Russia via Ukraine. Everyone is free to say whatever they want. The comment section is open underneath, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts about all of this. So please, can you share this video, because we really want to get people's involvement into trying to get a handle on what's going on and how this could go. If you can share this on Facebook, WhatsApp, or Telegram, I would seriously appreciate it. Also, hitting the thumbs up before you go. You guys take care. Thanks for watching. Stay funky.